Maisha ni ya ghetto, msaliti ni petro, sheria muna kwao, wazimu pia na hao, furaha sio mfano, ukabila ndio kwao, hapo nishafika, ukweli na hakika, kadiri na shika, furaha kwa lahiki, kwenda kwa mashabiki, waji kuziki, beef na fiki, hit na dhiki, muda muna wiki, mimi na hip ziki, split ni mukiki, kutafuta ziki, kwa makini mfulisi, saluchi mala sili, feel me.
Don't you know, we're talking about a revolution song.
Person who hates his race and you're looking high and low. Well, look no further, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Crispy Show.
What up, everybody?
When black people qualify as a racist, any black man or woman who defends their own against devils, such as those within the pale-skinned group, are called many things, and racist so happens to be one of the latest. Until I have enslaved you for more than 300 years, raped your girls, your mother, and your boys, established a wealthy nation from your labor, burned out, beat, and lynched you during Reconstruction, demonized you in the media, reduced jobs and good education in your community, seeded guns within your communities, created and doctored laws tailored for locking up the maximum number of pale-skinned persons, only then will I, a black man, be a racist. This is your host, T. West. Welcome to Afro Synergy.
Shout out to Sodnetta Studio, right? Because you don't get stuff like this nowhere. This is changing. This is changing entertainment. It's changing education. This is epic. Y'all better receive Sodnetta Studio.
When you ready for the latest breakdowns, latest news, latest presentations, there's only one place to go, and that is Sodnetta Studios. Black man wake up, black woman wake up. Sodnetta Studio, the greatest media on the planet. We right back at you. Thank you for having me. House of Consciousness, I love you. Peace.
Check out the channel, Sodnetta Studios. The brother's gonna be bringing a lot of lectures through. You get your live lectures. You're gonna get some on-point documentaries and things of that nature. So make sure that you subscribe, spread the word, let your peoples know Sodnetta Studio is the new channel. All right, peace.
Tune in.
I've been defending the people of Baltimore all day because I stand with them 100%, and I'm tired of people calling them savages, and I'm tired of people calling them thugs, telling them that violence isn't going to solve anything, that it's not the answer, and trying to make it seem as simple as writing your government. We've tried that before. It's not as simple as saying, hey, could you guys maybe stop killing us? That's not working. Petitions aren't working. We petitioned for Darren Wilson to be indicted federally, and that didn't happen. Petition GoFundMe for him not to get that money that was raised for him, but he's still retired with $500,000. So the time for petitioning is over. The protests in Baltimore started out peacefully. They were met with ignorance and violence. People chanting Black Lives Matter were met with people chanting no, they don't. So no, they're not going to be peaceful. No, they're not going to stop destroying property because they are hurt and they are angry and they're tired of seeing the same thing happen over and over again. Stop trying to make it seem like the solution is simple because it's not. Something needs to change and nobody is listening to us. And people feel like if they don't yell, they won't be heard, which is proven to be true because none of the peaceful protests that have been going on have ever made it to the news until a riot starts. So if you don't have any other suggestion aside from be civil, be peaceful, this isn't the way to change it, you're not helping us. If you're not disgusted about Black lives lost, you're disgusted about a CVS on TV burning, you're not helping. You're disgusted about property loss, but a young man laying in the street for 4 hours dead doesn't disgust you. A 7-year-old girl with a bullet through her head because the cops raided the wrong house doesn't disgust you. A mentally ill man tasered to death while in police custody doesn't disgust you. A man whose spine was severed while in police custody doesn't disgust you. But some broken windows is what disgusts you. You're not helping, and you don't get to have an opinion if you've never been in the situation to feel like your son, daughter, brother, or father could be next. You can't tell people who have been oppressed for years how they should feel and how they should react. This is not something that's going to be solved simply, and you absolutely cannot tell people that they need to be peaceful when being peaceful hasn't worked all these years. They don't teach us much about Black history in school, but I'm sure that you've seen pictures of those peaceful protesters being met with attack dogs, fire hoses, and beaten with police batons. It's not as simple as being peaceful. We need to come together and find a change in a different way. Meanwhile, the people in Baltimore have every right to be angry.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us as we broadcast today from Richmond, Virginia. She was hailed a hero around the country for giving her teenage son some tough love when he took part in the Baltimore riots. Some of the teen's friends suggested he thank his mom for stepping in by getting her a great Mother's Day gift. Well, as Diane McInerney reports, Mother's Day has come early.
It's an early Mother's Day gift for the mom of the year, who gave her 16-year-old son that licking that has the whole nation cheering. Inside Edition was there as 42-year-old Toya Graham received a beautiful bouquet of flowers from her 16-year-old son, Michael. But Toya has no intention of taking it easy on him.
Is he grounded? Are you grounded right now, Michael?
Yes.
How long is Michael grounded for?
I say eternity.
Toya is a single mom with 6 kids. Michael is her only son. He told me he's grateful to his mom for pulling him out of that confrontation with cops.
What do you want to say to your mom right now?
I want to tell her I love her.
But Toya says she was just doing what any mom should do.
I don't feel like I'm no hero or anything like that. I just love my son.
And guess who called the Mom of the Year to express her admiration like the rest of America? None other than Oprah.
I understand that Oprah called you.
Oh my God, yes.
What did Oprah have to say?
She talked about how she understands as a parent, as a single mom, what I was faced up against.
Toya and Michael couldn't escape street violence on their visit to New York. This was the chaotic scene in Manhattan Wednesday night as protesters clashed with police.
If you unlawfully obstruct pedestrian traffic, you may be placed under arrest.
Cops came ready for action. Look at those plastic handcuffs on their hips. More than 120 protesters were arrested in all. Some were defiant, others distraught. Meanwhile, former Baltimore Ravens football star Ray Lewis is doing his part to calm tensions in the city, pleading with students at a high school to stay off the streets.
The situation can change.
Good Morning America's Robin Roberts is also speaking out, telling us it's time for America to move forward.
I am just so proud of those civic leaders who have literally locked arms and said no more.
This is what I was afraid was going to happen. I'm not mad at the mother. I'm going to keep saying I'm not mad at her. And people keep saying she's supposed to have done it in private. It's some things you do. It's hard to explain, but you don't tip your hand. You don't go out there and do this and don't have all your ducks in a row. Don't have a plan worked out. Some of y'all think that I was out here like, oh, Harvey, worried more about a CVS. No. It was inside that CVS that was needed for people in that community. Everybody don't have a car. Everybody don't have access to spend extra money to go outside a community. And some areas don't have bus traffic. Some cabs don't go into these communities. So what she did that day, yanking his ass out, slapping him in the head, I don't have a problem with that. I wish a father was there to do that, but it is what it is. My issue is she's doing these press junkets. And white folks amen her and say, oh, you've done a great job. But the same white people will advocate for black men not to be in the home with the children in the first place. Then you get a call from Oprah Winfrey. Now that right there, the queen of emasculating black males and promoting negative images of black males. Yeah. Oprah calls. But Oprah never it's any programs or anything for our young brothers and sisters. Now y'all gonna say that's not our responsibility. Let me say this again. You cannot critique or criticize if you're not aiding and helping your people. When I see young brothers, I say, hey, don't do that, man. Don't do that. Now, some young brothers I don't say nothing to because you already know you can't communicate with some of them. But then those out I say, young blood, let's go get your education. Don't do this. Use what they put in front of you against them. Like I said in my other video, if you're going to go out there and burn some shit, don't destroy your own place. But the media is encouraging. Now we can talk about encouraging black mothers to be in their son's face in a certain way. See, it's nuance, but see, some of our people don't understand nuance. Going on The View, talking at the Inside Edition, talking to Oprah, no, that's not They're using her. This woman don't realize she's being used. This is why it's hard for black folk like myself to talk about these things, and people think that we defending or we nitpicking or whatever. We can't win. Now, I didn't think this was going to take off the way it is. They've been talking about this chick for the last, 3 days now? And then they bring up about, well, she's a mother of 6, unemployed. You ain't got to mention that. What was the purpose of mentioning that? Boy, I tell you, man. Jesus Christ. They changing the fucking narrative of a story. From Freddie Gray to the riots, or so-called riots, to the mom doing a mom job. Oh, boy. Jesus Christ. I'm frustrated. I really am. I don't even know what else to say anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. I just don't.
The media response to the situation in Baltimore follows a pattern that we should all be very familiar with at this point. They are rioters, they're wild, they're animals and thugs and criminals and gangsters and villains. But much more importantly, it's not just them. It's not just the actual individuals throwing the rocks or setting the fires, it's their community. If they come from a particular religious background, a particular racial background, then they need to be demonized the same as the ones doing the actual violence in Baltimore. That is what the media is telling us. At least when the protesters are black. And heard the same sort of media narrative. And so why don't we take a look back at some of the other big, damaging, violent protests from years past. The San Francisco Giants win the World Series. 40 arrests and 2 shootings. Neither of the 2 stories we're referencing here actually referred to it as a riot, regardless of the actual shootings. Now let's move to 2011. The Vancouver Canucks lose in the Stanley Cup Finals. According to ESPN, nearly 100 people were arrested. 150 were injured, 15 cars were burned, 50 businesses were vandalized. The damage is expected to run into the millions of dollars, and yet those people that I see there, they don't look like thugs to me for some reason. Weird how that works out. In 2015, the Ohio State University winning the NCAA football championship. Fans set nearly 90 fires, and yet I don't remember hearing that they are criminals or that they need to be policed by their community. Where are the community leaders? Didn't hear those calls. In 1999, the Denver Broncos win the Super Bowl. Property damage expected to go above $160,000 from that. Spokesman for the city's mayor called it participants hell-bent on causing trouble. But not apparently rioters, which is odd. And so even though you're seeing all these pictures, you're seeing, it's nighttime, the police are out, there's fires being set, there's violence, damage to businesses, damage to property. They're not thugs, they're not animals, they're not criminals, and certainly the community that they come from is not responsible for what they do. But in Baltimore, in Ferguson, more recently when the protests have to do with the police, then it's not just the protesters who are the bad people, it's an indictment of their entire community. Odd that. In America, what you are protesting about will never be as important to the media as the color of the skin you have while you're doing the protesting. And that's my final judgment.
Black African power, what's good? What's happening? A well-organized lie defeats a disorganized truth every time. Man, I'm just getting back to my morning workout. Very, very fucking interesting there. So let's see. We got the 2 sisters, right? Stephanie Rawlins Blake and Marilyn Mosby. So Stephanie Rawlins is the mayor of Baltimore, black sister. Fine, you know what I'm saying? And then you got Marilyn Mosby. She's the prosecutor. 2 sisters, right? Interesting. So we sitting back figuring out what they're going to do. The prosecutor did that shit with speed, didn't she? But I wonder if it would have been just as fast if all the officers was white. So we got 6 officers, 3 black and 3 white. You know I ain't no conspiracy type of guy, right? I reject that conspiracy shit. I say they don't be conspiring, they be just straight doing that shit. They be straight on it, alright? They ain't got to figure us out, they go straight to what they want to do to us. And so you got these 2 sisters in high offices in Baltimore, right? And they're expected to do their job. So the question is, did they do their job? I think they did. Given the circumstances, right, they did their job based off of the pressure that was put on them by them youth. There's a little pressure applied there. So all that stop shit made absolutely no sense. So what was the pressure? The pressure was, y'all better hurry up, right, and get some charges on somebody. You know what Mother used to say, though? When you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. You got these 6 police officers, 3 black and 3 white. So they get the charges, right? Let's see what the charges are. Let me read these charges real quick. Very interesting to me. It says, right, on Friday, Maryland State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby announced 6 police officers will be charged in the case of Freddie Gray. Moment of silence for Freddie Gray. An African-American man who allegedly died of a spinal cord injury sustained during an illegal arrest. So it was an illegal arrest. Yeah, we know it was. It wasn't no probable cause. I don't know about in Atlanta, but in Baltimore, you supposedly got to have probable cause. Yeah, right. They say Gray allegedly did not receive medical treatment immediately, right, though he requested it several times and was not safely buckled into the police wagon, a violation of Baltimore Police Department regulation. I ain't never got seatbelt in a damn paddy wagon. But okay, let's keep going. Watch this, right? Of the 6 officers involved, Officer Cecil R. Goodson Jr., right, faces the most severe charges: 2nd-degree deprived heart murder. I'm going to say it again. Depraved heart murder. And we're going to figure out what depraved heart murder is. That's like a goddamn unusual charge. You don't usually hear a person getting charged with that. But watch this. Involuntary manslaughter. It says 2nd-degree assault, manslaughter by vehicle in both growth and criminal negligence and misconduct in office. Man, they hit him up. It say the deprived heart murder charge carries a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison. Wow. So he gets the maximum charges, right, out of all 6 of them. Now, is it a coincidence that he's black? He's the paddy wagon driver. But I'm trying to ask myself, right, what about the 3 white men, right, that beat the brother up and put him in a paddy wagon in the first place, right, had the brother on film looking limp? Okay, so in actuality, the 3 white police, right, beat him up, right, zapped his strength, put him in the back of the paddy wagon, right, half probably unconscious, okay, limp, to ride in that paddy wagon. But yet they put the brunt of the responsibility, right, on the driver of the wagon. Now let's get this straight. It's called PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? And this is very, very important to understand what I'm trying to bring to y'all. That us as black people, we do not see other black people as being of ourselves. Based off of our cultivation and cultivation, is that a goddamn word? Based off of being informed and instructed by those who have enslaved and murdered us, right? We see no value in racial identity. So the police officer driving the wagon, he's seeing no feeling in the person that he had in the back of the wagon. This is an unnatural thing. You as a black person supposed to at least see the value in the black life. So those 3 black police really actually seen no value in that black life. They seen a separation. I'm the police, and that's the person I'm arresting. How unnatural is that? We call this white people in black face. When a black person acts out like the victimizer. He looked at that person as being a criminal, regardless of whether it was an illegal arrest or not. He had no compassion for the brother, based off of being cultivated or cultivated in racism, white supremacy. This is why we study so hard to unbind our minds of the racism, white supremacy, because you just might find yourself in a position either to help a black person, right, or look the other way. And those 3 officers looked the other way. Absolutely, positively. I can expect the 3 white officers to do what they did. Absolutely. That's what they've been doing since our relationship with them. But the 3 black officers, it's a case study of PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome, when the victim acts out like the victimizer. If you lie down with dogs, you will wake up with fleas. They didn't have the mind of African-centeredness, because if they did, they had plenty opportunity to help the brother out. The brother asked for medical help on several stops. The sister came and opened the door and looked at the brother, right? Didn't give him no medical help. The officer driving the car went back and looked at him, didn't give him no help. None of those black officers seen him as being their brother and their sister. Now you see why we fight so hard. Because you might just find yourself in a situation where you need to help out one of your brothers. But their allegiance is to the offices that they hold. The offices that they hold, right, is shrouded in racism, white supremacy. Mental mindfuck. They had an opportunity to change what the white officers did to the brothers. They could have gotten medical help immediately, and we wouldn't be sitting here today. And maybe those 3 white officers that initially illegally arrested him, right, would be in a situation to be charged. It's very, very interesting. They always put us in a position to put their hands back. Wait a minute now. We put him in the wagon, but we ain't kill him. And then the prosecutor, right, put the brunt of the responsibility on the 3 black officers. How in the hell do the 3 black officers get the most severe charges? I'm very, very interested. They always do that. They put the guns in the black community. I didn't make them pick them guns up. They put the drugs in the black community. I didn't make them sell them drugs. They played a role. That's why I always say they're worse than the devil. They're the people that the stories was made of. Whenever people come in contact with them, they come up with different stories, right, to explain their conduct, which has become mythological. So we're going to do a hangout on this, and we're going to bring the documents, right? We're going to read over them. We're going to go back into Mondawmin Mall, right? Who really owns Mondawmin Mall? Talking about the Rouse Company. These people own the slaves, so it's like coming back full circle. But I'm just I'm enamored with the fact that you got these black officers, right, that see no value in black life. They lie down with dogs and then they stand up with fleas and they get the most severe charges. Man, appreciate you, Brother Kenya, for calling me up on my morning read, right, so I could add that to my morning read. Y'all go back and read that. So yeah, they all responsible, right? But as usual, who is pulling the strings? The damn puppet master. Wow. Black African Power, man, we're going to do that, a detail on this, right? In the hangout, Ibn'rad Squad hangout. I'm going to post a link for y'all, man. I appreciate that. Very, very interesting. But like my mother and grandmother used to say, if you lie down with dogs, right, you'll definitely wake up with fleas. Ibn'rad Squad up. Real black atheism is on the rise.
But I want to talk about this rioting and looting and reparations. That's my subject. I've been thinking a lot about this. I've been talking about it and posting up about it on my Facebook fan page, and a lot of people are really not interested in that. It's being displayed in their lack of participation. And I'm not really pressed or bothered by that. I know a lot of people, a lot of things are too deep for people, so they feel like the safe way out is just not to deal with it. But just because you don't deal with it doesn't mean it's not going to be an issue that's going to be a reality in our world. And a lot of people mentally check out in order to cope with a lot of our realities. But I really don't have a lot of respect for that. I got to tell you the truth. I don't have a lot of respect for that. I feel like everybody ought to participate in the realities that we face instead of just mentally checking the fuck out. Just because you check out doesn't mean that you're going to be safe. And I know a lot of y'all might be afraid to participate in what's going on in our realities and be socially active. But, you know, as I say in my videos all the time, everything isn't for everybody. And, you know, a lot of us are stronger than others mentally in all other areas too. So I really shouldn't fault a lot of people for not participating in the realities of our world. Some things when I post as far as things about celebrity gossip, I notice that I get a lot of participation then. Or if I, you know, might say something about some dicks or some pussy, a lot of people may have something to say and participate in that. But when I start to post about social injustices and things that really start to get deep, a lot of people draw back. They draw back, they check the fuck out mentally, and they don't touch it. They don't want to touch it. And, you know, it's an indication to me that, you know, a lot of us may just be more conditioned to be into things that really does not matter as far as these celebrities. And, you know, I get into that too. I get heavily into that. But I think it's important that we have a balance. We have a balance and we be intellectually astute in all areas. In all areas, because all areas of this life affects our lives in one way or another, and it shapes our lives in one way or another. And I was looking at a picture that Taalik Nasheed had on his Facebook page, and it was showing an ATM machine in Baltimore that was turned upside down, and they had looted the money. I guess it was money in there. I don't know how that works. But they left it all torn up and such. And, you know, a lot of people had a problem with the looting. I didn't have a problem with the looting because, let's be honest, America owes a lot of us black people. They owe us. A lot of people might say, oh, nobody owes you nothing. Bullshit. We are owed reparations. So a lot of us have to get it however we fucking get it. And I can't fault them for that. If they're getting it however they can get it. And a lot of these people, you know, they want to point the finger at them and say, shame on you, and chastise them for looting. But when a lot of these white people loot, they make exceptions for that. Looting is looting. If you're not going to be okay with it when one group loots, don't be okay with it when another group loots. Looting is looting. And we are owed reparations. And this young generation that's out here looting, I salute them because they are showing their strength. They're showing that they are willing to go out here and stand up for injustices. And however they want to do it, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm not going to oppose it. And I don't care who doesn't like it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to stop them. I'm not going to talk down about them doing this. Because, like I said, we are owed reparations. And I don't know why a lot of America acts like they don't owe us. We are owed reparations. We need to be made whole. And these young people who are out here looting, they have nothing to lose. So what can you do to a person that has nothing to lose? I mean, you want to shoot them down and kill them worse than animals. Treat them worse than animals. But in actuality, if you look at it for what it is, a lot of these people are walking around half dead. Anyway, they're not living. They're just existing. So you can't do them any harm if you put a bullet in them. You cannot do them any harm. This is a group of people who have nothing to lose. You have not set up a system for them. You have brought them into this society to fail. A lot of these single black mothers, you applaud them and they sit up and have these babies without a purpose or a plan. And shame on them, shame on the government, shame on society that allows this. You allow these kids to be birthed into this society with nothing to offer them. Nothing is set up for them. And nobody's taking their feelings into consideration. I mean, you feel like, okay, you got it, so they should get it. And a lot of these young black men, they're walking around with felonies on their back. And somebody might say, well, that's their business. They had no business going out there doing blah, blah, blah. Okay, a lot of us do a lot of shit that we should not do. Let's just be fair about that. But everybody deserves a second chance. A second chance does not hurt anybody. And if a lot of these guys go out here and tell the truth, that they cannot read, they cannot write, they got felonies, nobody's going to give them a chance. No one is going to give them a chance if they tell the truth. So they have to be dishonest. They have to get it how they live. They have to do all kinds of low-down scheming, conniving things to survive in this world. Nobody's going to sit around with a hungry-ass stomach and just do without. Nobody's going to do that. So I feel like, you know, I see it all the time. A lot of these guys, grown-ass men, they cannot spell the things that we take for granted, the basic core elements of our society that we take for granted. They cannot even participate because they cannot read. They cannot write. They're struggling. Yeah, they might be on social media, but you can see a lot of them. They cannot read. They cannot write. They cannot punctuate a sentence correctly. They can't use commas and periods and exclamation marks the way that they're supposed to. And somebody might say, well, that's their fault. That's their fault. They should have been doing this. They should have been doing that. They have no one to lead and guide them. All they have is females that are cocking their legs open, showing them the way to destruction, further destruction. Because if they have kids, that's going to compound the problem. They don't they're not set up to succeed. And I know someone right now, I won't call his name because I really like him. And he keeps on getting involved with these females. He has a type. I can tell he has a type, and I really like him. And he keeps getting involved with these same sloppy sluts. These same sloppy sluts. And he wants to say, well, he's all into God. He's all into this. But he's all out of disorder, too. And he doesn't know how to write correctly. He may not know how to read correctly. And he's got at least 6 children and a whole lot of child support on top of his back. And, you know, he's going through things emotionally and, you know, faced with jail time if he doesn't pay. He's struggling to work decent jobs and staying with his mama at almost 40 years old. It might be over 40 years old. But a lot of these guys, they need help. A lot of these females need help. We need job training. And a lot of the job training that's been offered is slave fucking labor for $7, $8, maybe $10 an hour. A grown person needs more than that. Everybody does not want to work on a fucking warehouse floor. And that's the majority of what the jobs that are being offered to the people. I mean, what about office work? Why not train them for that? Why not train them for something in science, working in NASA? You know, give them, don't make them go through all these fucking loopholes to go to school and do all of this. And in the state, they have job training, but you got to go through so many fucking loops. I've even tried to go through that. You got to go through so many fucking loops and pass all these fucking tests. If you don't pass the test, you got to start all back up. Nobody has time for that. Nobody has time for that. People need to eat right now. People need to take care of their kids right now. People need gas in their car right now. People need to catch the bus to go to interviews right now. I mean, they got to pay their light bills right now. We don't have time to wait. And we are owed reparations, but we are being denied these reparations. We're walking around wounded. And We are being steadily denied and steadily being subjected to profiling, racial profiling, injustices on top of injustices, prejudiceness. You go to certain jobs, they look at you and will not touch you. They'll accept the application, but as soon as you leave, they put it in the garbage. If you have a black sounding name, they're not going to give you a chance. And we need to really address a lot of this. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it. I let your girl. Peace.
What's up, family? This is Daku, and as some of you that are close to me know, my father made his transition this week, and we are making the arrangements to lay him to rest. But one thing that we've been taught is that revolutionary work never stops. It never stops. And while I'm itching to get up to Baltimore, I'm stuck down in DC, which isn't a problem. I can still do the work right down here in DC. Now, one thing that I want to remind people, all of our politicians, all of what we may call house Negroes and Uncle Toms, everybody that has a stake in white supremacy, who has a stake in the United Snakes, I need to remind you that as long as you have slaves, then you're going to have rebels. And as long as you have rebels, you're going to have burning and looting. That's the history of slavery right here in the United Snakes of America. So we're going to read a little bit out of Slave Insurrections in the United Snakes, 1800 to 1865 and earlier. And I'm going to show you a couple of clips so you can understand that if you do not abolish slavery in the United Snakes, yes, modern day slavery, and we don't have time to explain to you that you're still slaves. You're going to have to do a little research yourself. And if you can get out of your programming and begin to think just a little bit, you'll understand that you are indeed still a slave. All right? Slavery never ended. It simply changed forms, and they expanded the plantation boundaries. So you got a little more room and freedom to move around, but you're still a slave. So check out these next clips. I'm going to read a little bit out of the book Slave Insurrections in the United Snakes, 1800 through 1865. So we're going to read an excerpt out of the book, and we're going to go all the way back to 1741 in New York. As I was talking to a young lady yesterday, she said that her folks had come from New York and they'd never been slaves, and that's possible. But slavery existed even in New York City. Okay? And in New York, the slaves were burning buildings and they were looting. Sounds like Baltimore, sounds like Ferguson, sounds like LA, sounds like the burning down of America in '68 when they killed Dr. King. Now on page 28 it says that events really began on the night of February 28, 1741. While the authorities were busy seeking the persons responsible for the robbery, because it was a robbery, but it was making a noise in the east to strike in the west, but you'll see in a minute. A number of fires broke out in private homes and public buildings. Again, reminds you of Ferguson and Baltimore, correct? And remember, as long as you have slavery, you're going to have the burning down of buildings and you're going to have looting, which both of them are rebellious acts. Both of them are revolutionary acts, but I will continue here. For a period of more than 30 days, the inhabitants were kept in a state of excitement by fire alarms. In many cases, before one fire could be extinguished, the alarm would sound in another part of the city. Fires appeared in barns, haystacks, cow stables, and Negro cabins. Frequent complaints were made of goods being missing at each fire. That's looting. As long as you have slavery, then you're going to have rebels and revolutionaries that burn down buildings and loot. So stop saying you Negroes and Uncle Toms out there, you Negro-peons and house Negroes out there. Stop saying that looting is senseless. Looting is a revolutionary act. And every time you see these slaves rebel, you see some buildings getting burned down. And we're going to show you that in these next couple of clips.
This was an astonishing act of ethnic cleansing. It put an end to a civilization which had flourished in Spain for 700 years. These people have become known as the Moors. Propaganda, sparked by the Crusades, has given us an enduring image. The diabolical Moor. A dark-skinned savage. Once the 300-year-old dynasty cracked, it didn't take long for the palace to come under attack. Medina al-Zahra was quickly smashed and plundered.
Saint-Domingue remained mostly calm in Toussaint's wake. Jacques Dessalines and the other black officers continued cooperating with French General Victor Leclerc. But then, news arrived from the nearby colony of Guadeloupe. Napoleon had reinstated slavery. One more time, the former slaves of Saint-Domingue took to the field against European armies. One fleeing white, Pierre Chazot, paused on a mountaintop to observe the devastation.
No less than 10 square leagues of country burning like volcanoes. The rapidity of the conflagration was such as to make the beholder believe that large and thick trains of gunpowder had previously been laid down.
Becomes this extreme scorched earth kind of campaign in which Dessalines and others burn the towns in order to basically leave the French with no choice but to depart.
Dessalines' scorched earth tactics worked. In 1803, the French army was finally driven out. 50,000 French soldiers had died.
It is the morning of February 23rd, 1763. The slaves on plantation Magdalen Burn in the Kanji River revolt against their Dutch masters. They killed the estate manager and several others, loot and set fire to buildings. They then stormed the nearby estate of La Providence with similar success.
Protests to be peaceful. They are trying to heal as a community, and for all of these fires to be breaking out in their area, it's just awful. Meanwhile, protesters are moving along in an organized fashion. You have to believe that these fires were committed by, this is a storage facility in West Florissant.
And this is actually the area where fire crews did respond and had to actually leave because of shots fired in the area. So it was an unsafe situation. They had to leave, and you can see there that it's fully engulfed.
Again, wherever you see slavery, you're going to see rebels, you're going to see buildings being burned, and you're going to see looting. All of these are revolutionary acts. Even if the looter is not aware that his or her action is revolutionary. LA riots, 1992.
Driving in front of it. If Dave will pull back just a little bit, you'll be able to see the fire truck, the ladder truck coming. I see another engine behind it, and I see some paramedic truck, it looks like.
Earlier today, well, now we're going to stay on the shot for Chopper 2.
I see a sign on the side of the building that says TVs and VCRs. So, and we're told that something else major developing right now. Back to Parker Center. Jody Baskerville, is it still peaceful there? Jody Baskerville, can you hear me? Well, we've lost that shot. We're told something is happening at Parker Center. There have been several hundred demonstrators outside there. Earlier, they were pelting riot police with rocks and bottles.
Sure, and a man with a hoodie pulled tight over his face approached me with mace. He told me to kick it out. He wanted my cell phone, and he sprayed me in the head. And I retreated back to my safe spot where I was with a store owner who had a shotgun protecting his property.
Wow, just to give us a sense of how dangerous it is, and also the point that Justin's making, everybody, and I think important to emphasize that a lot of the gangs have been on the streets, they say, trying to impose their own sorts of order, but playing a very significant role in this. Right now you're looking at pictures of looters going into the Baltimore Mall. I just told you the police had reported there were people in there looting.
Again, you got buildings burning in 1968 here in Washington, D.C., April the 4th. Look at the devastation. Slavery comes with it, the burning down of buildings, and looting. Ain't no way around it. When the rebels become restless, this is what's going to happen. And it's been happening for hundreds of years. But we seem to be satisfied with slavery. So as long as you fail to destroy slavery, you always going to have burnings and lootings and, yes, even killings as a result.
I had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Gray's family to discuss some of the details of the case and the procedural steps going forward. I assured his family that no one is above the law and that I would pursue justice on their behalf. To the thousands of city residents, community organizers, faith leaders, and political leaders that chose to march peacefully throughout Baltimore, I commend your courage to stand for justice. I also commend the brave men and women, both in uniform and out, who have stepped up Monday night to protect our communities from those who wish to destroy it. As the city's chief prosecutor, I've been sworn to uphold justice and to treat every individual within the jurisdiction of Baltimore City equally and fairly under the law. I take this oath seriously, and I want the public to know that my administration is committed to creating a fair and equitable justice system for all, no matter what your occupation, your age, your race, your color, or your creed. It is my job to examine and investigate the evidence of each case and apply those facts to the elements of a crime in order to make a determination as to whether individuals should be prosecuted. This is a tremendous responsibility, but one that I sought and accepted when the citizens of Baltimore City elected me as a state's attorney, and it's precisely what I did in the case of Freddie Gray. Once alerted about this incident, on April 13th, investigators from my police integrity unit were deployed to investigate the circumstances surrounding Mr. Gray's apprehension. Over the course of our independent investigation in the untimely death of Mr. Gray, my team worked around the clock, 12 and 14-hour days, to canvass and interview dozens of witnesses, view numerous hours of video footage, repeatedly reviewed and listened to hours of police videotape statements, surveyed the route, reviewed voluminous medical records, and we leveraged the information made available to us by the police department, the community, and the family of Mr. Gray. The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges. The statement of probable
follows. On April 12, 2015, between 8:45 and 9:15 a.m., near the corner of North Avenue and Mount Street, Lieutenant Brian Rice of the Baltimore Police Department, while on bike patrol with officers Garrett Miller and Edward Nero, made eye contact with Mr. Freddie Carlos Gray Jr.